Hi guys, I'm your host for this session, Adiola Torbi. Here is my co-host.
Hello everyone, I'm Tulio Shino and I'm the co-host.
Welcome to the Deep Guys. This is where we're going to dive into experiences that help shapes our life. We've explored a very interesting topic, which is expectation versus reality. So whether you're a prospective student or currently enrolled, this is going to shed more light on what you should expect. So moving on to segment one, the idealized expectation, that is the freedom and then the contest. So yes, that excitement of the freedom, free from home, free from brighter ideas, whereby you're in total control of yourself, begin to make your own schedules, the time you wake up, when you sleep, your social life, when you go home, and when you do all of that.
Freedom itself is perceptive. Everyone has a definition of freedom. I'd say coming into the university setting, people have a very, very, very minute understanding of freedom. Coming into the university, you get to decide what time you go to bed. You decide whether you're going to class or not. And I mean, it's different here because attendance is very important. But then you decide what time you go to class, whether you're going to the class or not, what you're going to wear, and all of that. People come from secondary school where they've kind of been like caged, so they haven't had the freedom to be expressive. So they come into university with the idea or hope that you're going to express that freedom.
That's one. But let's not forget that we're in a private university, whereby I'll call it the controlled environment, whereby you have rules guide on us. Okay, you can, like in the public uni, you can, there's no like coffee or anything. But then,
I mean, there's a little curfew. I mean, it's not like they're outside till 2 a.m.,
Yes, that's if you're in the hostel, like if you're living outside.
or up campus.
So curfew in private university can be rather for 8 p.m. and 9 p.m. or then your public university and even up campus and decide what time you want to go and
True.
so no restriction or anything.
Very true.
So with that, if you actually want to make a decision or advise to make a decision wisely and then sit down and then choose the one you want for.
Yeah, I get that there are curfews in private universities, and yeah, that's kind of like limiting the freedom to a certain point. But then still, there's still a wide range of freedom. I'd say, though there's a curfew, not everyone wants to stay outside late. So yeah, the curfew is not really that much of a impediment to your freedom.
Where's your right? So moving on to the next segment, which are the lifelong friends, whereby the idea where you easily find your niche, the friendship. But in that, I'll actually say in your first year, you're not actually going to find out lifelong friends. What do you say in that?
I'd say coming to the university, you're going to meet different people, different social backgrounds, different ethnicities, different languages, probably even different religions. And your first year is kind of like a subway. I wouldn't say it's where you make your lifelong friends. You come into the university and you're meeting people who probably have a different way of life. And then this is where tolerance comes in. You have to get used to them. You have to understand them. And obviously, along the line, you're going to drop some people and add some more friends. So in your first year, it's almost impossible to find out the people you're going to spend the rest of your life with. It's not a high school it's not a high school musical or like a high school movie where you're like, oh, I go to university and then I find my clique or my gang and we're going to finish university together. It's almost impossible.
See, yeah, having that friends is or finding a lifelong friend for your first year, so you're able to have that. So let me create a scenario for you. Says now, so fairly like when we are now, we have church reference service and all of that. Say for instance, in church, you sit down beside someone and then again chapel service in classes and all of that. Chapel service and all of that, and then you notice one day you actually keep bumping into that person over and over again, but you didn't just concrete that, oh, this person is my friend, probably because you kept on bumping into the person. I'll say be very strict about picking your friends.
Yeah, I'd give a scenario of something my dad told me when I was learning how to drive. I feel like this goes for a lot of Nigerians where he says, whenever you're driving, assume every other person on the road is a lunatic. I tied that to picking your friends. Assume that when you meet new people, they're lunatics until you comb and go through the kind of people they are and you understand their perspective on or their views on things. And then you see if it resonates with you, then yeah, you can make them your friend. But yeah, I stick to the fact that a lot of people are lunatics out there.
Yeah, that's actually right. A great way to love people with different characters, a lot of that. but then you still have to restrict about picking a friend, not just anyone that walks onto your life.
Yeah, very valid.
So you have to be very selective. But then again, you also have to like relate with everyone, be cool with everyone. You can't also like say, okay, your roommates are your friend. No, they're just your roommates. You can have classmates, acquaintance, someone you study together, and all of that. But then make sure you're cool with everyone in a time of networking, whereby, but if you're enemies with everyone, obviously the outside world, well, you guys make each other,
That is no good for yourself. Yes.
so price will be cool with everyone.
I feel like a lot of people have to learn how to use the terms friend, colleagues, classmates, setmates, roommates. Not everyone around you is a friend. So yeah, in terms of networking, that makes a lot of sense. You don't know when you might need someone. So yeah, just be cool with everyone. I mean, as a guy, guys are very easygoing people. I see you today on the football pitch and I see you on the basketball pitch court tomorrow, and it's like, hey bro, what's good? How you doing? We're automatically friends in layman language. But no, you're not friends. You're probably setmates, your schoolmates, not friends. You understand? So yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But yeah, not everyone is your friend.
And I just actually saw a video online, but by a guy in his hostel, and then it bumped into each other, and the following day they just like nod their head. Then the next day probably they say hi. The next day they probably shake.
Exactly.
But it's not like that with girls.
Bro, we guys we're so simple that all you have to do is say Real Madrid is the best club in the world, and you've made like 10 new friends. That's literally it. But guys are very simple.
But in girls, you can actually bump into each other every day, every time, morning, afternoon, night, and even high or something. You get to call us, so girls is still not that easy. But with guys, I can say it's easy for them.
Yeah, way easier for us.
Sure.
Yeah.
So moving on to the next segment, which is overwhelming responsibility. The overwhelming responsibility of kite schedule, where you have back-to-back classes and all of that. We have travel service, which are compulsory, trip and all of that. So putting all of those things together can be overwhelming. It's not just the excitement of being free from home, but yeah, this is where the reality actually comes in. Those overwhelming responsibilities. Or you say that?
Coming into the university, yes, there are going to be a lot of responsibilities, obviously, because first off, the course load is hectic. And in here, we talk about freedom, yes? Now, this freedom also translates into your social life as well. So you have balancing your social life. You said chapel service. Obviously, chapel service is their service units. That's where we have the attendance unit, the ushering unit, and all of that. So now we're talking about social life, your service unit. If you have a sports life, probably play a sport, balancing that as well. And then, maybe you're an ESCO for your department, so you have to balance all of these things. It might become overwhelming to you. And probably what I'd say, or the best advice I'd give, is probably set a good timetable for yourself, do the right things at the right time, and that just eliminates the whole overwhelming factor in it.
Yeah, that's actually right. Balance and everything. And then I also advise that you also get roommates of the class. It can be so overwhelming at times. School is where to actually stress you. It can be frustrating. It can be lonely. The journey is actually a very wonderful part. So advice you actually have a mentor. What would you say when having a mentor?
Yeah, mentors are very important. First off, I'd like to clear out the air about mentors. People always assume that mentors have to be 20 to 30 years older than you. That's not always right. I could have a mentor. My mentor could be someone that has the same class with me and is probably top in the class. Someone who's probably doing way better than I am financially, but we're age mates. I personally feel like if I was to get a mentor, I would be more comfortable talking to my peer. Someone who's in the same age bracket with me, someone who understands and relates to things that I'm going through. So yeah, having a mentor is just, I'd say it's like having a friend, but more than a friend. Someone who can give you solid advice that can translate into your personal life and help you come out from challenges. So yeah, having a mentor is a really good thing. Can't even lie.
I totally agree with that fact, whereby your mentor doesn't have to be someone older than you. It could be someone. Because personally, for me, very like facing something, I won't actually go meet a mentor, like share that problem. But if it's someone in my level or someone in a level higher than me, I could actually go to that person and share one or two things with them.
You feel safer with them. Yeah.
So moving on to our next segment. So the social pressure. How would you have to do social pressure?
Social pressure in what sense?
Like wherever you have events.
Okay, so basically what you're saying is when you're trying to balance academic life with social events going on in school. Well, I mean, you don't have to go for everything, you know. That's one thing a lot of people don't get. They feel like, oh, once there's an event, you're going to pull up. Where me, my guys, my girls, everybody's pulling up. No, that's not always the case. There's some events that you have to learn to sit out. Yes, school can be very stressful, and this social event help you de-stress, detox, and all of that. But you don't have to go for everything. If you feel like your academic work is more important, or you have a deadline to meet, I'd suggest you just stay in your hostel, meet your deadline, forget about the social event. Another one will come, and you go for it.
That's really true. So, and then if we're actually working on having a good grade in the university, to actually start from your first year and not like secondary school whereby you have a clean slate where you can like start all over again. But we don't actually work on it from your first year, because a lot of people tend to rest in their first year and second year.
True.
But then if you don't actually put in more effort, you will actually not get that desired result that you want to achieve.
Yeah, you know, coming into the university, that was something that I knew because I had mentors. That was something I knew that, oh, the journey to your 5.0 or whatever grade CGPA you're graduating with starts with your first year. Not a lot of people have this exposure. And you know, the popular saying says ignorance is not an excuse. So a lot of people think that, oh, in their first year, they can just tease the waters and, I don't know, do anything that they feel like they can. But then that can be detrimental to you, because if you don't do well in your first year, you're probably not graduating with the desired result that you want. So yeah, I resonate with that.
Our father of faith actually said the word like people perish for lack of knowledge. So I'll say if you're a prospective student about to apply to university, you should actually like speak to mentors, ask people around. You have aunties, uncles, and cousins that are interested, that have passed through them. You should ask them and let them like share their experience with you, and you could actually learn from them. Yeah, like 10 years experience can actually help you to shape your life in the university.
True. And also go for orientations when you go to a new university. Like when you start school, always go for orientation. I mean, orientation can be very stressful. It's like, bro, it can be so annoying, but just try to go listen to what they say. It's not just about going, it's about listening as well. Because I could be there, I'm probably looking at this really pretty girl I just saw. So yeah, try to listen as well.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I have a question for you, Sylvie.
Okay.
What advice would you give to prospective university students about managing their expectation before they even step onto campus?
Sorry, can you take that again?
Okay. What advice would you give to prospective students about managing their expectation before they even get to campus?
I'll probably say before you come to a university, watch what you watch. A lot of people watch shows like Grownish, and they assume that university lifestyle is that nice, but then you know reality is really not that nice. It's really not that flamboyant. Coming into the university, you're coming for one main purpose, which is your academics. So the first advice I'd give is create a timetable for yourself, something that works well with you, something that doesn't stress you either, something that you're able to fall back on whenever you're having difficulties getting things done. So you get a timetable for yourself. Secondly, I'd say watch the company you keep. I was very, very cautious not to use the words friends. I was going to say company. So watch the company you keep, because that could shape you or destroy you. I'll probably say number 3 should be focus on what matters to you. You know, people have different goals and different things that matter to them. So just focus on what matters to you, and you know, be close to God. God is very important, because the university will test your mental health, test your physical health, test your emotional health and everything. So just try to stay close to God.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I also had an advice by staying to prepare is you preparing to fail. Make sure you have a purpose, have something that drives it. A wise man once said that once the why of something was known, the how will actually come. So find that purpose, let it be the one that will drive you into achieving that goal you want to achieve in the university. Since there anything we would like to share as we come to that?
I mean, the topic today is expectations versus reality. Listening to what we've said, people will probably think that university is boring or it's not as interesting as they hoped it to be. But if I'm being honest, the university setting is actually a very, very good one.